So there is a bill that's being proposed in Texas, which states overrun by Republicans in the legislature. But basically, this bill, it's proposed by State Representative David Spiller, and it would allow public school boards to set aside some time every day for students to read the Bible and pray. And like other people could participate, but the bill makes very clear this is only about Christianity. Everyone else can come along for the ride, but this is all about Jesus. And the biggest thing about this bill isn't even any of the stuff I just mentioned. It's something else that I think he snuck into the bill. So check this out. Here's the relevant portion of House Bill 1425 that this guy proposed. It has a lot of caveats in it, which it would have to avoid any lawsuits. But the short version is the bill would allow school boards to adopt a policy requiring every school in their district to provide a period of prayer and reading of the Bible or other religious texts. So check this out. Like, this is what it says. Look at the bottom here. Adopt a policy requiring every campus of the district or school to provide students and employees with an opportunity to participate in a period of prayer and reading of the Bible or other shit. We don't care. Like, only the Bible. They could have just said reading of holy books. Nope, they're like the Bible and other shit. Right? That's what this bill does. And look, here's the thing about this idea. Before I get to that, one of the caveats in this bill is that if you want to participate and you're a student, you got to have a signed permission slip by your parents or guardians. If you're an employee at the school, you can opt in if you want to. You don't have to. No one is forced to do this. And the permission slip that the bill suggests would acknowledge that you're not going to be bothered if others are praying nearby you. And also, you're not going to sue the district over this law. Okay, fine. Here's the thing that got me about this bill. It specifically says all of this would happen before the start of the school day in designated areas in these schools. That's what I don't get, because if all of this is voluntary and it's outside of instructional time, why the hell are we doing this? What's the point of this bill? And obviously the answer to that is it's not necessary. It's just about pushing Christian nationalism. It's not meant to fix a problem, because students can already read the Bible before school or after school or during school within reason. They can already silently pray anytime they want, right? What this bill does is allow a Texas Republican to say, hey guys, I love Christians, so vote for me. And fuck everybody else. That's the point of this bill. It also, by the way, this is interesting. This bill also forces every school district in the state to vote on whether or not they want to adopt these policies. So, by making every school board vote on whether they want to create this silent, private prayer reading the Bible area before school, you're getting every board member on record, and then Christians can use it against them if they vote no in the next election. So that's the strategy behind all this. When this guy was asked, like, why are you doing this? He said a couple things. This is what he tweeted about this bill. Proud to file, two bills, this one and another one, which focus on strengthening the role of faith and moral education in Texas public schools. That's a lie, because just giving people a time to pray or read the Bible does not strengthen the role of faith and moral education, because you're not providing any moral education. And I don't know why having a special room to read strengthens the role of faith. They can already do that. It's just performative bullshit. But when the local reporters, the Houston Chronicle posted this, but they also got this from Twitter, displaying these principles in every classroom provide students with the opportunity to reflect on core moral values, such as integrity, respect, and responsibility, values that are essential for the future of our state and nation. Like, none of this is that important. Like, this guy also wants to put up the 10 Commandments. That's what that's in reference to. But the point is, I would argue this is all performative. No one needs this. But when I was reading through this bill, there was another part of it that got my attention. And it was to the point where I had to ask a lawyer friend, I'm like, am I misreading this? Or is this Why are all the news articles focusing on what I just told you and no one seems to be focusing on this? Because I think this is a bigger deal. Because later in the bill, this is another thing. There's one other thing he does. Here's the deal. There's a Texas law that says students have a right to silently pray or meditate. And that's fine. That law includes this line, all right? A person may not require, encourage, or coerce a student to engage in or refrain from such prayer or meditation during any school activity. That also makes sense. If you're a teacher or an administrator, you can't tell kids they need to pray at football games or school assemblies. You can't tell them not to either. So it's harmless. That seems fine. What does Spiller, David Spiller, what does he want to do to that part of the law? Check this out. He wants to change that part of the law to the following. Can you notice the change? He wants to remove the word encourage from the law, which means if his bill were to pass, it implies that some teacher or administrator could encourage a student to pray or meditate during any school activity. I mean, in Texas, you can imagine that sort of like nudge, nudge. Hey, kids, it would be good if you read the Bible. That could be really disturbing. It's so messed up what they're trying to do. I guess technically the way that's worded, teachers and administrators could also encourage students to not pray, which is amusing, except it's not actually going to happen. But I would argue that removing the word encourage from that law is far more damaging than voluntary prayer and Bible reading time, because that could happen during school hours and at school events with a captive audience of children. So I asked a lawyer friend, Chris Line from the Freedom from Religion Foundation. I'm like, am I sensing something weird with that part? And this is what he told me. It is wholly inappropriate for government employees, teachers, and administrators to actively encourage religious practices in an official capacity as this proposed change would allow. So right on. And by the way, the Houston Chronicle also spoke to Texas State Rep James Tallarico, who is fantastic, a Democrat. He's also a Presbyterian. But check this out. He taught public school before studying to become a pastor. He has expressed concerns over the increasing number of legislative bills seeking to mix church and state. I think if Jesus read some of these bills, he would remind us to treat Jewish students, Muslim students, Buddhist students, Hindu students, atheist students as ourselves. And that's not what this legislation does. By the way, if you are bored and you're on YouTube right now, search James Tallarico and the 10 Commandments, because last year when they were thinking about putting the 10 Commandments in public schools, Tallarico did a session during like a committee meeting where he just destroyed every argument Republicans had about the 10 Commandments. So that's this bill they're considering in Texas. I'll pause there for a bit. What other questions we got here? Sounds like a method for peer pressure. I mean, that's the concern, right? If you allow teachers to encourage students to read or pray, or you create a room where they could read or pray, yeah, the whole goal is, yeah, friends are going to pressure their friends to do it as well. And maybe you could draw in some kids to read the Bible who might not otherwise do it. It's time for all other beliefs to propose their faith to be pushed in the same prayer time. I mean, yeah, it would be hilarious and fun, and I hope it happens if this bill is passed, to get non-Christians doing their prayers and reading their textbooks, holy books, in that same space. They don't even have to be dicks about it. They could just sit in the corner with a book that says, like, the Satanic Bible, and let's see what happens. I'm drafting a message to my Texas state rep opposing SB2, which is school vouchers. Looks like I should write about this bill as well. Yes, please do. There are so many bad Texas bills being proposed right now. And thank you for writing to your lawmaker. If you don't like writing letters, please call their offices. Tell them you oppose this stuff. They have to hear from you. That stuff is super important.